Welcome, everyone. Cleansing and detoxing is a very important part of health. In fact, on some basic level, I often think of it as the most important part of health. We like to think of health as adding some herb or taking some special thing that is going to improve our health. But so much of Ayurveda is just a removing what was harmful. And cleansing and detoxing is really the subject of removing what is harmful. Now, when we talk about cleansing and detox, we're talking about removing specifically toxins from the body. And I would say there's a lot more that we might want to say on the subject of removing what's harmful. For example, we could be eating foods in our diet that are harmful to us, and removing them would be a healthy thing to do. So cleansing and detox is maybe a little more narrow than just the subject of removing generally, but still, that's the first step to health. We should all understand that intuitively, that our body does what it needs to do as long as it's not obstructed in some way. And that makes cleansing and detoxing the concept of removing obstructions from our physical body, from emotionally, and even um, our belief systems that are not serving us well, or even that are harmful. That is the subject of cleansing, is removing anything that has an obstructing effect. Now, today's presentation, I'm going to focus on cleansing and detoxing for the spring. It happens to be the case right now that we are in a time of year in the northern hemisphere where our bodies are naturally cleansing. Now, if you live in the southern hemisphere and it is autumn for you, the subject of cleansing is still important. It's just perhaps a different kind of cleansing. In the fall, typically you're cleansing the bowels, and you're also, and this usually gets done in the cleanse, is you may be trying to strengthen the body in particular ways. Whereas in the spring, you're not trying to strengthen and build, but you're often trying to reduce. I'm using these broad terms just to get us oriented, and then we'll jump into some of the specifics as we go. My name is John Immel, and I'm the director of the Joyful Belly School of Ayurveda. We offer numerous professional certification programs for people who want to do this for a living, who find this very exciting, who find it engaging, and feel passionate about helping people live really well, be happier, and be healthier. And I find that is a very sacred and wonderful vocation, and it's very a humanist. And so the people who come to study Ayurveda, they not only love health, they love people and helping them. I'm privileged and excited to get to spend time with our student body every year, who's really a wonderful group. All right, let's jump into the topic of um, of detoxing and really why we need to detox in the spring. Well, first of all, we've got to turn back the clock a little bit, and we've got to see what our body was doing over the last few months that we now need to cleanse. The reason why we need to cleanse in certain seasons is because our body needs to stop doing what it was doing a few months ago and sort of undo what it was doing a few months ago to now prepare for what's coming. And we all know what's coming. We can see it. The days are brighter. The sun is rising earlier and setting later, and the average daily temperatures are going up, although sometimes we get the coldest day of the year in February. I remember 9 years ago when I proposed to my wife. It was the coldest day of the year, and we were in a very beautiful outdoor place. And when I got down on my knees, it was in the snow. And so, well, she said yes, and it was a wonderful, wonderful day. The cold didn't bother me so much after that, right? And so we can get a cold snap in February that but the daily temperature is on the upswing, and your body knows that. In autumn, all autumn long, your body was building a layer of fat in your skin to protect you from the winter's cold, and that is what your body's trying to undo right now. So you might remember that in October, the first day the temperature went down to 50 degrees, it was a chilly day. Now, when the temperature goes up to 50 degrees, we're like, oh, it's a warm day. Well, what's the difference? The difference is that insulating layer of fat in the skin to protect us from winter's cold that we now have to shed. So let's fast forward a little bit to January, excuse me, and December. In the deep cold months, the cold temperature depresses circulation. You may be familiar with the fact that with every 1 degree rise in body temperature, such as when you have a fever, your heart beats an extra 10 beats per minute. Well, as your body cools down, you have less beats per minute. And your blood vessels, your arteries, especially the peripheral arteries, vasoconstrict. That means that the vessels get smaller, especially in the skin, and circulation slows down. And that leads to stagnant blood. And here we see a picture of a pond. Really, it's pond scum. We know that this is stagnant water. And in our body, stagnant blood that's not circulating well, tends to accumulate junk. The junk from which is the byproducts of cellular metabolism. All right, so winter cold depresses circulation, especially in the skin, and that causes toxins to build up, and it makes the skin look dry and lusterless. It's always depressing when you look in the mirror in January and December and you feel like you've aged 10 years since the summer. Well, it's true in a way because your skin does look 10 years older simply because there's just less blood in it. And when June comes around, the blood will return with the heat and your skin will look 10 years younger again. So don't get too depressed. Just remember it's part of the seasonal realities that the body has to deal with. If your body put a ton of blood in your skin in the middle of winter, you would get hypothermia, right? You would lose all your heat. So your body is actually trying to keep you warm and toasty by keeping that blood from the periphery in your body. Okay. All right. And then let's not forget the holidays, right? A celebratory time, a wonderful time of social gathering, and also a time when we might be overeating, putting on some weight, and your body stores toxins in fat tissue. So in the autumn, when you're building fat tissue, you're also storing toxins in that tissue. And then in the spring, that starts to get released, right? So what happens? Here's a picture of a clogged drain. And you can see here that the toxins are not going down the drain, right? Looks like coffee grinds here or who knows what, right? The equivalent is true also in your body. If your pipes are clogged for whatever reason, you are going to have a buildup of toxins in your lymphatic system. And this is what happens in the spring. In fact, it's happening right now. That your body is dumping or getting rid of or metabolizing that extra layer of fat that you stored in autumn. And as it does that, as it digests that fat, there's toxins getting released, but also the blood tends to thicken and become what you might call damp, right? That's damp is sort of an alternative medicine, you might say, term to describe excess moisture buildup and nourishment in the blood that is ultimately has a clogging effect. All right. So why does the blood get damp? Because your body is metabolizing fats, and if you are eating the same diet, you're basically have the same number of calories that you're putting in, but your body's getting a lot of calories from that insulating layer of fat. So in the end, it ends up that your blood becomes too rich. If you change your diet and reduce calories in the spring, then that will counteract that effect and your blood will just be as normal. But the typical thing is that people keep eating the way they normally eat, and then the blood becomes too rich. And when it becomes rich, it thickens. And that is what is the source of lymphatic congestion. So you may have noticed this. Sometimes your saliva is a little thicker than others, a little more sort of slimy rather than rough, you might say. If you rub your tongue on the top of your mouth, you can see whether your tongue feels rough or whether your saliva is a little bit slick. And if your saliva is a little bit slick, then probably your blood plasma is a little thick as well. And that leads to lymphatic congestion with the characteristic signs of puffiness in the skin, feeling waterlogged, water retention, and maybe even some inflammation. All right, so as the weather warms, your blood gets thick, lymphatic system gets congested, and the toxins that were stored in the fat start to get released. As I think this is a really great picture. I mean, I had pictures of clogged rivers and all kinds of things, but literally the fat is melting. So the best picture for this is an ice cream cone that's melting. This is what's going on in your blood, is that the fat is melting. The blood is starting to move because things are getting a little warmer. It's a little less stagnant. So toxins are on the move and fat is on the move in your body. And how do you know that's happening? You might feel a little puffy. You could see this person has edema in the lower legs or water retention because of their circulatory system is not strong enough to move those fluids. And so they're pooling in the lower extremities uh, and uh, and not getting eliminated. So this is a state of toxic buildup right here. So you'll notice that skin gets puffy. You might feel a little waterlogged or notice some water retention. You might notice thicker respiratory mucus, a thick coating on your tongue, and a loss of appetite. One of the things that alarms people in February is that they have maybe 2 weeks or so where they just aren't that hungry. And they're like, what's happening to me? I'm not hungry anymore. And they get alarmed. And sometimes people even eat more because they're like trying to find the perfect food or the perfect bite of food. And just really the food doesn't please them at all because they're not really hungry. And you might even notice a bit of mild nausea. I certainly have on those warm February days, and March days, and even into April, you'll notice that the idea of food is a little bit like, ugh, and you don't really want to eat that much. When that happens, go with it. It's okay. It's natural in the spring, especially on hot days in the spring. That's why who wants to eat like a Thanksgiving meal right now? Like, do I want a meal of mashed potatoes, stuffing, gravy? With a piece of cheesecake and pumpkin pie and all that. I can't even think that way this time of year, right? But what I really, my natural cravings are for some fresh greens. I noticed some chickweed growing in the yard already. Those spring ephemerals are starting to push up. And when I see the chickweed um, growing and blooming, it's a sure sign that it's time to eat those fresh, tender young sprouts that are packed with micronutrients and vitality. And that's the kind of thing that I'm more interested in this time of year. Things that are crunchy and fresh and green. And you might be feeling that way too. Another part of the spring congestion pattern where these sort of toxins are on the move, and is that you might notice that you have loose stools. And that's because the fat in the blood ends up producing more bile, and that makes the stools loose. So you'll have a period, perhaps of about 2 weeks, of loss of appetite, a little bit of sort of food making, food being a little off-putting. Maybe that's a better way of saying it than nausea, because it's not really nausea. Loose stools, puffy skin, thick coating on the tongue, thicker respiratory mucus, more slick saliva. All those are signs of the way your body is changing for the spring. Okay. All right. Let's just back up a little bit and talk about what a toxin is, and then we will talk about where they come from, and then we'll jump into a protocol for the spring. So we hear a lot about toxins, but what exactly is a toxin? I want to take the broadest definition possible of a toxin because it really gets at the heart of the kinds of toxins we're trying to eliminate. Right? When you say the word toxin, a lot of times people immediately jump to the idea of environmental pollutants. Like I have pesticides from, last year's corn harvest in my blood or in my body. And yeah, those are a part of it. But really, I'm talking about, when I say the word toxins, 90% of the toxins are from your own body. It's just metabolic waste products. And so the simplest definition of a toxin is the presence of any substance in excess of healthy limits in your body. So if you have high blood sugar levels, you have toxins in your body. There's the level of sugar is toxic in your body. If you have high triglycerides, that's a toxin. And if you have if you have high ammonia, right? Ammonia is a byproduct of cellular metabolism. Your body has to get rid of it, and it does it in your urea, in your urine. If there's too much ammonia in your body, that's toxic. And really, just too much of anything in your body is a toxin in Ayurveda. It's called ama. Toxins are called ama in Ayurveda, and your body is swimming in toxins all the time. But usually your body gets rid of them easily, and they don't build up. But in some areas of the body, they can build up, and it's those areas that we want to address with our seasonal cleanse. All right, let's just go through a broader list of sources of toxins. I've already said normal cellular activity, the buildup of urea and ammonia in the blood, lactic acid in the muscles, right? If you overuse a muscle and lactic acid builds up, that's a toxin in your muscle. Undigested food in your bowels that ferments is generally considered the root of all toxins, in the sense that the toxins that are from fermentation in the gut are unnatural. The toxins from cellular byproducts of metabolism, those are really natural. Those are from your body. So your body knows how to deal with them really well. But the toxins from fermentation in your gut, are a little bit more of an attack on your body. So Ayurveda pays special attention to those toxins. And then, of course, there's toxic buildup from all of the biochemical changes from stress and emotions. So if you have emotional intensity, you might notice that you have bad body odor, or that there's some residue of jitteriness, or other things. So stress creates a change in your body, and then that change has to be undone, and that then is a toxin. Sickness and injury. 2 weeks ago, I got the bacterial flu, and it was very interesting. I used a humidifier, and the humidifier had a little bit of mold in it that I didn't realize. And I had taken a Tylenol because I felt that after several days of treating it with herbs, that And a strong anti-inflammatory would just help clean up any inflammatory byproducts in my body. Well, the opposite happened. What happened was the Tylenol depressed my immune system, and the black mold in the humidifier infected my lungs. And within 12 hours, I had 104 fever. And my fever up to that point with the flu, managing it with herbs and diet and lifestyle changes, my fever was like at 100.3, right? Very low grade, manageable illness. But it shot up to 104, and I started expectorating thick green mucus, and that was intense. Well, you better believe my body had to do a detox afterwards to clear out all the byproducts of the war with the bacteria and or viruses or who else know. Is it only one bug that's infecting your respiratory tract? I think there's lots of opportunistic bugs that come along for the ride. In any case, all that leads to a buildup of AMA that has to be detoxified. And you better believe that in addition to trying to clear the infection, I put a lot of emphasis on helping my body clear out the toxic buildup from the war with that bacteria, the immune system war with that bacteria. So if you have chronic fungal infections or yeast infections or respiratory infections or any kind of infection, there's a toxic buildup in your body. And then last, and I'm listing this last on purpose, is the environmental pollutants that everyone loves to focus on. And indeed, it is very important because who likes to get their toxins from somebody else, right? At least if the toxins that come from you are your own fault, there's no one to blame but yourself, which means that you are in control, right? But if somebody else is doing it to you, boy, that gets people really upset. But I am suggesting right now that that there's a lot that's in your control to reduce toxins, um, and then we can fight the good fight to reduce environmental pollutants. Okay, and I'm going to include poor eating habits as a source of toxins, simply because that's why there's fermentation in your gut. Right? If you eat the wrong food for your body type, and it's always very tempting, especially when there's a new fad. Like a few years ago, it was acai berries, right? You have to get your antioxidants from the Amazon jungle because blueberries aren't good enough, right? And so then everybody will eat acai. But is acai good for everyone? Ayurveda says, well, it's all dependent on the individual. And so there's a person. I mean, I think relatively speaking, acai is probably good for all body types, but certainly, but it's cold. Acai is very cold, so I'm gonna take it back. Vata and Kapha people make it too cold from acai. And so one person's treasure is another person's poison, and that could cause toxins if you're just following a one size fits all nutritional model. Poor circulation, right? Sitting is the new smoking. That's one of my favorite phrases in the last that I've heard in the last 10 years. Sitting is the new smoking, because poor circulation is just terrible for your health. Whether it's a sedentary lifestyle or exposure to the cold. I've already said that exposure to cold depresses circulation, or whether it's belts and tight clothing or plaque in your arteries or a weak heart, all that's going to cause a buildup of toxins. Where do the toxins build up? Well, they build up in your bowels due to fermentation, and then your intestines absorb some of those toxins, and then they go straight to the liver. And of course, your liver is detoxifying your blood plasma. Your liver is your main detox organ, so you want a strong liver to stay detoxified. Um, and Yeah, so there'll be toxins in your liver. There'll be toxins in your blood plasma and your lymphatic system generally. Toxins get stored in your fat, and they'll get stored in any weak spot in your body. So if that respiratory infection that I had 2 weeks ago damaged a part of my lungs, then I'm gonna have to work harder to clean toxins from that damaged part. What are some signs and symptoms of toxicosis, of excess toxins? Well, bad breath and foul body odor are the first. If you have a foul body odor, or pungent body odor, or foul smelling stools, even, or bad breath, there's toxic buildup. A coating on the tongue. You see here that there's a white coating on both sides of this person's tongue. This to me looks like a classic spring tongue. Okay. Another sign and symptom of toxicosis is blood stasis or congestion. That would be water retention around the ankles, a sort of bloated, swollen uterus, congested lymphatic system, anywhere where there is blood sort of backing up and getting congested. And those are some typical places: the skin, female reproductive organs, and the ankles. General weakness and debility, fatigue, and exhaustion. Sticky, thicker mucus, and just wrong cravings, right? Toxins disturb your cravings. If you're a Vata person, well, even if you're not a Vata person, Vata ama or Vata type toxins show up as a gray coating on the tongue and bad breath. They're typically caused by constipation, gas, and bloating. Pitta ama looks yellow. It's yellow coating on the tongue or in the corners of the eyes. There may be heat signs and inflammation and irritability. And kapha will have a thicker coating on the tongue, thick mucus, tiredness, a brain fog, sluggishness, and water retention. These are the three doshas here. If you don't know what they are, Vata is the dosha of deficiency, which looks like dry skin, um, weak digestion, and underweight. Pitta is the body type of that is fiery, and kapha tends towards excess congestion, and that could be overweight, thick skin. Okay. All right. So good. We know what a toxin is. We've talked a little bit about the patterns in our body. What is our spring cleanse strategy going to be? And then a specific protocol. All right. First thing I'm going to say is check with your doctor before making any changes to your health and wellness plan. I see it all the time. People signing up for appointments to my clinic who have done a cleanse and did it badly, or they did a cleanse that was really harsh and now they have long-term imbalances. And so cleansing, people, I think this is, you know, it is such a, I don't know, a sign of our culture. I love that American go-getter attitude and, climb to the top of the mountain, do the biggest challenge. But sometimes that carries over to people's perspectives on cleansing. In other words, if I like beat my body up even more, then I will be healthier. And that is not the case. So I want to check that tendency when it comes to cleansing. A harsh cleanse is not a better cleanse. I just think it's very important for everyone to know that. And sometimes people want to do the bragging rights, right? Like, I'm doing this really awesome, difficult, intense cleanse. I see some Instagram influencers who are doing the week-long water fast, and I'm looking at their body type and I'm like, you are just gonna like age your body quickly by doing that kind of fast. And so Ayurveda takes that extra step to tailor the cleanse to the individual. It's not just like everyone does the master cleanse, right? Or everyone drinks the half gallon of fire cider a day or whatever crazy stuff is out there. But we tailor it to the individual, and not just to the body type, but down to the individual. And that is a skill taught in our professional level certification courses. And I think it's really awesome to learn. especially because you can do it for each of the body types of your family. And also, if you practice professionally, you can do it with your clientele. And by the way, if you want to know more about our school, you can go right to the Joyful Belly website, click on Study Ayurveda, and you could see our professional certification courses here. We'll start you right from the very beginning and take you to a very advanced level, including herbs, diet, digestion, and you can click on this about the school to learn all about the quality of the education that we offer. You could see here all on this section, all of the things that I think really set the Joyful Belly School apart. Check out our guide to choosing an Ayurveda school. I think that you'll learn some really good tips, and then you can see our courses, course offerings here below. So check that out. If you are excited about Ayurveda, also I'm going to be giving an intro to our courses next Monday at this same time. So come back a week from today if you want to learn about our courses, and I will tell you all about them and how it works. Yeah. Oh, good. And I see someone here took the nutrition course and is saying it was excellent. Thank you for that, Maggie. I really appreciate that. Letting prospective students know that we are very passionate about education. I myself am a graduate of Harvard University. I graduated from the math and computer science department there, and I was very interested in math because I thought math was art, and that it would like reveal deep truths in the universe. And it's the same sort of passion that I bring to my studies of Ayurveda. And why mention that? Because great academics are like in my blood and what I really care about. I care about being a great teacher, and I care about communicating what Ayurveda has discovered to the public for everyone's benefit. So if you're excited about it, join us. All right. Okay. So yeah, check with your doctor though before making any changes to your health and wellness plan. Uh, you don't need to do anything harsh in order to cleanse your body. I'll be giving you some tips for body type specific cleansing, and then listen to your body every step of the cleanse. Now, here's the challenge with cleansing. Cleansing often makes a person feel vital immediately because they've removed all these toxins and they're like, wow, it's so great to not have toxins right now. And so they feel great. But what the danger, and I just want to make sure it's clear, the danger is that you deplete your body so much because of overdoing it that when you stop the cleanse, you get more toxins because your body is now too weak to get rid of them on its own, right? That's the issue. And I don't want to spend too much time on it. It's not that dangerous to cleanse for most people, but I don't want to leave you, just with this overly rosy view of it, and not take any precautions for yourself. Okay. So you can drain when you cleanse, you are reducing. I used that word before. You're draining vitality. You're not adding vitality. You're draining a little bit of vitality. And that's okay. It's okay to drain a little bit of vitality. It's okay to purge excess fats. You may not want the vitality of those fats. You may have too much, right? And cleansing will drain excesses from your body, but you don't want to go past that health point and get into depletion, right? Okay, good. So enough about that. All right, let's get more into the strategies, okay? First thing we want to do in spring cleansing strategy is move the blood, right? The blood's been stagnant, so we want to move it. So cardiac stimulants, vasodilators, and pungents. What is a vasodilator? It just means it's a vessel dilator. It is something that opens up your blood vessels for easier circulation. And you'll see I have a bunch of examples here under each of these categories. I'm not going to discuss each of them, but I may cherry pick some. Some of my favorites here: holy basil, great vasodilator, really just opens up circulation. Turmeric invigorates the blood. I think of turmeric as a key herb for spring cleansing. Um, pickled raw garlic, I think, is also just great. Those aromatic compounds in the garlic and pungency move blood. Mustard seed, daikon, also great ones. Daikon for the lungs, it really warms up and opens up the lungs. Okay. Then we want to decongest our lymphatic system by thinning our lymphatic system. These are going to be blood thinners. Dissolvent detoxicants have a blood thinning aspect. So if you're taking blood thinners for blood pressure, you're not probably going to put your focus here. But in any case, turmeric, fennel, fenugreek, cumin, coriander, fennel tea called CCFT, and garlic are all hot dissolvent detoxicants. And then we have cooling ones as well: cilantro, mangista, alfalfa sprouts. And then we have drying ones: safflower, parsley, asparagus, and barley. Don't overlook barley as a great spring grain. My wife, who has a lot more kapha than I do, she just can't get enough of barley. She loves it. It gives that satisfaction of it is a very satisfying grain to eat, and at the same time, it doesn't weigh you down like wheat. So I just want to give a little shout out to barley, parsley, and asparagus for drying lymphatic detoxicants. Okay, then we can take substances that specifically reduce fat or improve fat metabolism, also called hypolipidemics, and those will help pull toxins that are stored in fats. And some great examples there are just anything bitter, whether it's red leaf lettuce, dandelion leaf, or burdock root, or neem, or gentian. All of those are really great hypolipidemics. Okay. All right. One thing here, I also want to note that for all of these, you can jump right onto the website. Like, you can jump right onto Joyful Belly and search the word detoxicant or anti-inflammatory or any herbal action, diaphoretic, and it will take you to a brief introduction followed by a list of ingredients and herbs that are all organized by dosha to find the exact detoxicant that's best for you. So here you see dissolvent detoxicants that reduce vata and pitta, and you can also click to do it by taste to see your bitter detoxicants or your aromatic or sour or astringent detoxicants. You can look up hot detoxicants or light detoxicants, dry detoxicants, or cold detoxicants. So yeah, you could take a screenshot of this slide and see the ideas that I gave you, but it's just as well that you go look on the website and cherry pick the best one for you. Okay. All right, so we're trying to move toxins by moving the blood, decongesting the lymphatic system, reducing fat, reducing the richness of the blood with hypolipidemics. And then we also want to directly introduce anti-inflammatories and alteratives. I'm going to alterative really means sort of blood rectifying, things that restore blood chemistry, typically by refreshing the liver. So our anti-inflammatories and alteratives like cilantro, aloe vera, cucumber, turmeric, cayenne, and daikon. And if you're wondering what to do with these, because I'm just listing out some herbs, you can literally just use these in your food. Okay. And then I will give you a protocol in just a little bit, but I'm giving you the specific ingredients so that you can get creative with it. Okay. And antioxidants, blueberries, raspberries. Now, if you eat blueberries this time of year, they're too cold. So I would just put some cayenne pepper on the blueberry and then they'll be hot. right? We don't have to think like, oh, blueberries are cold, so it's not the right time of year. It's winter. We can just put some cayenne pepper on it. And people, well, that's one of the things I love about um, eating fruits in tropical countries is they always put a little spices on it. And I think cayenne pepper just brings out the flavor of a lot of fruits anyway. I love blueberries with cayenne pepper. So your antioxidants are going to really help your liver out. Your liver is what produces most of the antioxidants in your body. And if you take and supplement with antioxidants, it just refreshes the liver and calms down your body from any inflammation that is a byproduct of toxicity. All right, we want to support our liver with hepatoprotectives. Hepato means liver, protective means protect. This is, the medical industry just loves to make words that are hard to understand. This just hepatoprotective means liver protective. And a great example of that is artichoke hearts. One of my favorite recipes that I've been making this year, and it's been really exciting. I'll find it right on the Joyful Belly website here. Let me just look up artichoke. But it's a white bean artichoke soup. Here you go. White bean and artichoke puree with lemon, thyme, and olive oil. I'm going to put the link right in the chat. You know what you do is you just take the white beans, artichoke hearts, and the other ingredients here and throw it in a blender and then heat it up. Or if you have a Vitamix like I do, you just keep it in the blender until it's hot and serve it. It's the easiest soup in the world, and it's a great cleanse. So long as you have the digestive strength to digest a white navy bean and, that you need. Anyway, there's the link to that recipe. I'm looking in the chat here and I see Simmerjeet, who's our admissions and enrollment advisor, is on the line here. So if you want to connect with her, you can and schedule a time to meet and discuss the course with her. All right, let's get back to the presentation here. And thanks, Simmerjeet, for being on the call. All right, so artichokes and beets. Those are real staples in my family in February and March, artichoke and beets. Actually, one of my mantras for February is beets, beans, and greens. We just have a lot of beans, a lot of greens, and a lot of beets in February because I think they're perfect for the season. The beets are hearty enough and nourishing enough because we're still in winter, right? We're not just going to eat light like we're in summer. So we need some root vegetables that are cleansing, and beet is a great cholagogue for the liver that flushes the liver, and it's also hepatoprotective. It strengthens the liver. It's not just this blast your liver into the next millennium. It is cleansing and nourishing, and that's what I like, right? So that's what makes that cleanse not so harsh is something like beets. Artichokes are a little bit harsher. They're a little bit more of a strict, straight up cleanse, but they are hepatoprotective as well. In fact, they're closely related to milk thistle, which is one of the best hepatoprotectives. Guduchi is an Ayurvedic herb that is hepatoprotective. Okay, so we're going to support our liver. We are going to do anti-inflammatories and antioxidants. We're going to move blood, decongest lymph, and reduce fat. So I have all these ingredients, but look, if you look at it closely, you see what can you do? Oh, turmeric, a little bit of cilantro, um, with some salad greens, some blueberries, and chopped artichoke hearts is like a salad that you can have before meals, and you can make yourself a beet soup, and you're going to get a great cleanse. Right? So you don't need this whole list. Just make something on the list. Make some asparagus with artichoke hearts and lemon juice with lemon zest and a little bit of parsley and a little bit of salt and olive oil, and you'll have a great cleansing food. Right? I'm just riffing here off of these. Take some daikon, slice it up, pack it into a jar with some garlic, fill it up halfway with apple cider vinegar, the other halfway with water, and uh, put some cayenne pepper in there, and you'll have a mini fire cider. Great cleanse. Take a teaspoon of horseradish. That itself is a fine stimulant for your body. Okay. All right, great. So we've talked, you'll notice that every one of these treatment strategies that we focused so far are really systemic and eternal. They're not internal. They're not really about elimination, right? What are we doing? We're moving blood, decongesting lymph, reducing fat, reducing inflammation, supporting the liver. Now we turn to the pathways of elimination, your urinary tract, your bowels, and your sweat. Those are the three main pathways of elimination, and we want to support those as well. If you have puffy skin, you're going to want to eliminate water with diuretics. If you have gas and bloating and fermentation in the gut, you're going to want to eliminate it with laxatives. And if your skin looks lifeless and dull, you're going to bring more blood flow to the skin with diaphoretics. And you can see the examples there. And again, jump on the website. You know, these are fancy diuretics that you have to buy, you know, ginkgo. Who has that in their fridge? But you can just click on diuretic and find lots of stuff that's already in your fridge. Let's look here. Oh, beer is a diuretic, but we're not going to use that for a cleanse. But it is a great diuretic. And yeah, so let's look here. Carrots are a mild diuretic. Some are squash, zucchini, cucumber. Cucumber is a decent diuretic and a dissolvent intoxicant. Parsley, strong diuretic. So get some fresh parsley from your grocery store. Cranberry juice has those antioxidants that blueberry has, but a strong diuretic as well. Watermelon, it's not, you know, you can always warm it up, but otherwise I think of that as really a summer food. Celery. Celery is another go-to in my family this time of year, especially in March, but really starting in February and going right through March is vasodilating diuretics like celery stalk. Okay, great. And then if we're gonna build vitality, remember I said in the beginning that Ayurveda is 90% reducing? Well, it is 10% tonics also. And that's what you get with sprouts and spirulina. Packed with micronutrients, you can tonify and build. And then, of course, there's many herbs that help you tonify and build, from ashwagandha to saw palmetto, shatavari, licorice root, and on and on. But sprouts and spirulina, I think, are right in line with the spring cleansing strategy. I said that my mantra for February is beets, beans, and greens. You want those beets and greens as a cholagogue to flush the liver. As greens, you could do red leaf lettuce, radicchio, endive, dandelion, and many others. Romaine lettuce. Beans have that fiber to support bowel elimination. Your easy to digest bean, is split yellow mung. Your medium difficulty digest beans are black beans and chickpea, and your hard to digest are pinto, navy, and kidney beans. So if you have strong digestion, go straight for the pinto, navy, and kidney beans. But if you have weak digestion, go for split yellow mung. All right, in March, I shift from hardier beans and beets to the fresh young greens like chickweed pictured here. Chickweed is probably growing in your yard. If it's not growing in your yard, it's growing within 100 feet of you, depending on where you are in the country. I mean, if you're in Arizona, you're not going to see it there, but if you are in a more moist environment, you probably have chickweed within 100 feet of your of where you live. And it's a great detoxicant and diuretic. Okay. But in March, I tend to focus a little more on those tender young spring greens and diuretics. Whereas in February, I focus a little more on the liver and hardier ingredients because it's still winter. I want to go over cleansing by dosha. before I go over a specific plan for a cleanse, okay? Vata generally doesn't need to detox. They need to avoid retox. What does this mean? Vata people tend to have thin lymphatic fluids and they just naturally purge all their toxins quite easily. As long as they're not causing more toxins, they will detox naturally. And the way that Vata people tend to cause more toxins is through irregularity in their routine and gas and bloating in their digestive tract. Vig, this is the body type that I warned that I was warning about earlier. If they cleanse, that could make them more toxic, more dry, and more cold. They could do a cleanse to be less toxic, but because they tend to be deficient already, and a lot of people love cleansing, because they're so adventurous and enthusiastic that they're the ones most at risk. And so that, if you're deficient, again, just be cautious. Pitta people in their cleanse, they're going to focus more on anti-inflammatories. Toxins in a pitta come from inflammation, infection, a damaged liver, or weakened liver, or overwhelmed liver. And so pitta people don't do saunas and intense spices or anything too intense if you're pitta. If you're vata, you want to make sure your cleanse is more nourishing. More beets, less bitters. For pitta, it's going to be more cooling and less spices. For kapha, they can handle a hot, intense cleanse better than the other constitutions can. So when you see intense cleanses marketed, they really should only be used by kapha people. And you can read all about these doshas on the website. What is vata dosha? Plus how to keep it balanced and healthy. Check it out. The article, same thing for pitta and kapha. You can read all about how to care for your body type online and take our quizzes to learn what body type you are. All right, let's talk about a cleansing protocol. We'll wrap things up with a cleansing protocol that you can use. And I'm going to say that any one of these in particular are optional, right? Like you don't need to, if you have a busy schedule, you don't need to add 3 hours to your day for cleansing for, a week. And by the way, a 3-day cleanse is awesome, and even a 1-day cleanse is awesome. Okay, but a 3 to 7 day cleanse is probably your ideal, and you can do, as much as you comfortably can. Scraping your tongue in the morning with a tongue scraper, really easy, really fast if you have one. If not, they're pretty easy to get and cheap. Then brush your teeth. And then you can have a glass of hot CCF tea, that's cumin, coriander, fennel tea, equal proportions. Or you can have any other diuretic tea. A dandelion root tea would be a fine morning cup of hot tea to help purge any stagnant water and fluids in your body. A gentle stretch. You can add a massage, which is called Abhyanga. Check it out on Joyful Belly. You can look up how to do it. Or also Garshna. That's where you have um, a a glove that's a little bit abrasive and it just refreshes your skin. You can add all of those things. Or, excuse me, you can hear that cough from that flu a few weeks ago. A gentle stretch will be wonderful. Then on a spiritual level, you want to have some kind of contemplative practice, and I'm going to specifically say a prayer of praise, right? As essential for a cleanse. Why? Why a prayer of praise specifically, right? Each of us, on some level or another, has identified the source of our happiness. Now, if you are a very spiritually minded person, you might say that source of your happiness is God. If you're not a religious or spiritual person, and you can, just contemplate what actually makes you happy. And turn to that thing and praise it, which is ultimately a declaration of freedom. Because what happens is typically your daily pressures usually take center stage and possess you, you might say, right? They possess your soul, possess your spirit. They take over, and that can be a spiritual toxin. So when I say to rid yourself of spiritual toxins, what you want to do is turn your whole appetite, your whole heart to what you identify as the source of your happiness. And that ultimately is a declaration of freedom, and it's war against slavery to the daily grind, right? So prayer and praise is essential to cleansing spiritual toxins from your life. Um, and that's the practicality of a contemplative practice, right? Well, people say, oh, I'm not going to, sit in contemplation for 20 minutes. Why is contemplation the most practical thing you can do? Because what is it that you are contemplating? You are contemplating the source of your happiness, which is ultimately establishes an order in your life, priorities in your life that lead to you making great decisions. So 20 minutes to make great decisions in your day is highly practical activity in my book. Anyway, a bowel movement, you can you can merge your contemplative practice with your bowel movement practice by choosing your location of contemplation to be the bathroom, right? But if you want to keep those things separate, you can sit in the bowl with a great book for a little bit until you have a bowel movement. But try to get that elimination early in the morning. Your warm glass of tea and your stretching will all aid you in having an early morning bowel movement, and that will keep your body detoxed because you're getting rid of the toxins sooner in the day. And then a nice hot shower um, will refresh your skin and get your heart pumping a little bit. Okay, breakfast. Another tea here. I'm giving you a simple one, green tea with holy basil. Or if you want to go to the more involved one, there's you can take a look at this recipe on Joyful Belly. Green tea mood lifter with sage, rosemary, basil, and stevia. That will, really counteract the February blahs, um, and the green tea has some nice antioxidants, give you a little energy boost. And the sage, rosemary, and basil are aromatics that really open up your circulatory system. And those have brain tonifying qualities as well. All simple ingredients, right? Stevia is a great mood lifter. We did a food experiment with our students, and they all noticed how their mood was lifted by stevia. That's why I put it in this tea. Okay. And Kijuri, intermittent fasting if you're not hungry. Like you don't have to eat a breakfast if you're not hungry. Intermittent fasting, you can delay that breakfast a little bit if you want, especially if you, again, lost your appetite due to February or March natural spring detox cycles. A grain-free option to Kijuri is just dal, right? You can have dal with and then just whatever you use for your carbohydrate source. All right. Yeah, I see people writing in the chat here. Gratitude. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Yeah, what can you take instead of green tea? You can just leave the green tea out. So yeah, I don't ever put caffeine in my body. I have enough energy already. Caffeine is not, and in general, I wouldn't rely on caffeine. I don't think anyone should take caffeine every day. I put it in this cleanse protocol because I think green tea will be a nice supportive energy boost. But if you're already taking caffeine every single day, you might want to cleanse yourself from caffeine itself. Caffeine is one of those ingredients that really doesn't pay to take long term because it's like they said in those 1980s commercials about cocaine that if you took cocaine, right, it would take you to this high, but then the next day if you take it, but then you drop down to like -1, you drop even lower than you were when you started. And then if you took it again, you'd only go up to a 9 out of 10 the next day, and then you drop down to -2. And then the next day, it's like you go up to an 8 and you drop down to -3. Caffeine works the same way. If you take caffeine every day for a week, at the end of the week, the caffeine is literally just bringing you up to the energy you would have had if you weren't taking caffeine at all. So caffeine ends up not being that great to um, to do on a daily basis. But if you are not addicted to caffeine, I think it can be a great for a 3-day cleanse. Okay. Kitchery, you can look up kitchery recipes on the Joyful Belly website. Just type in the word kitchery in the search box here, and you can see all about it. The basic definition of a kitchery is a lentil with a grain, but it's typically lentils with rice. And you can see we have particular recipes by dosha. So you can have some kitchery for breakfast. For lunch, I'm going to suggest a beet soup, a borscht, with cabbage and dill. You can see that recipe right here. I'll stick it in the chat. That is a great recipe for purging the liver, and the dill will open up circulation to the skin. Cabbage will have a bit of a diuretic and cleansing action, and it's light, right? You want your cleanse to be a little bit light this time of year. Borscht does include potatoes and carrots, and I'm going to say, add those according to your dosha. Vata can add more, kapha less. Add some parsley if you're waterlogged. If you're Vata and you're in really cold weather, you can add some sour cream to that, which will, make it a little richer for, that your body type. All right, and as your tea for lunch, you can do dandelion root plus milk thistle tea, which will be a nice liver detox. Yeah, so Vata people have to be a little bit concerned with cabbage. But typically I've found with Vata people that it's uncooked cabbage that gives them gas and bloating. I see in the chat here someone's asking about cabbage. But yeah, if your Vata is high, remember there is no such thing as a one size fits all recipe. I'm giving you these, but you have to modify them for your dosha. If cabbage doesn't work for you, just cut it out. Have the beet soup with dill. Kapha can add the parsley and go a little bit lighter on the carrots and potatoes. So yeah, use whatever knowledge and wisdom you have to modify this. If you're a diabetic, beets are too sugary for you, right? So you're going to modify this accordingly. Same thing with kitchery. You're going to have a lot of rice with beans. If you're diabetic, probably not. So you're going to shift out those grains with something else, or maybe you'll just have dal and add some bitters to it, add some fenugreek, add some cinnamon, which are all hypoglycemic. Leeks, yeah, fresh leeks, fresh scallions, great vasodilators. All of your onion family plants like garlic, onions, leeks, and scallions are strongly vasodilating. Yeah, your pitta, I wouldn't do the raw garlic. Nope. No, I would do cilantro. Yeah, so just take caution. And you can go on these recipes on Joyful Belly and it'll tell you which ingredients are pitta aggravating. Dill is pitta aggravating in this one. Salt has a slash through it, but you need some salt. And apple cider vinegar. I'd probably have less apple cider vinegar, a little less black pepper if I'm pitta. Yeah, so I'm just going to be modifying these. And if you're cooking for the whole family, leave the black pepper out and have people add it at their individual plate. or make potatoes and put them on the side so that people can add potatoes to their soup if they want to. Right? That's how you cook for a large family. Is you just put the ingredients on the side and let people add it as they go. I have 7 kids, and they're every dosha. I have every dosha right in my family. Times 2, right? So as many kids you have, and my spouse, that's how many body types we have, right? We don't just have Vata Pitta Kapha, but different nuances. My one of my sons has as much kapha as my wife, but a very different kind of kapha. And yeah, so all right, for dinner, you can have more of that dandelion root and milk thistle tea, or you can have the beet soup or khichdi, as you wish, and a lighter portion for dinner. Oops, what happened there? Nighttime before bed, a hot bath. You can have another contemplative practice at night, and you want to examine your conscious at night, right? Like, did I do what I set out to do this day, right? I identified my source of happiness at the beginning of the day. Did I stay true to that? Where did I get derailed? Did uh did I do anyone any harm today? Just examine your day, and um and troubleshoot your day. Okay? And before bed, for Vata, you can have a teaspoon of triphala. For Kapha, even a tablespoon of triphala in hot water before bed. Some Vata people, in fact, many Vata people, triphala is a little too irritating to their bowels because of the bibitaki in it, one of the 3 ingredients. Triphala means tri, phala, 3 fruit. Tri means 3, phala means fruit. So 3 fruit, tea. That's literally what triphala tea is. So one of those fruits is called bibitaki, and it's a little bit irritating, and that's perfect for kapha, but not so great for pitta or vata. So for vata clients and even some pitta clients, just take haritaki. You can order that. It's one of the fruits of triphala, and it's the most tridoshic one, most suitable for all body types. So I take that one if I don't want to wake up to pee in the middle of the night or have my bowels irritated. Now, if you want to turn up the laxative action a notch, because triphala is a laxative, that's why you're taking it. If you want a stronger laxative effect, add a tablespoon of castor oil with a 1/2 inch of ground fresh ginger, and that will give you a stronger laxative action in the morning. Now, you don't need diarrhea to get a cleanse, right? If your stools are noticeably softer, but not mud, or not just total liquid, you're probably in a good spot, right? We don't need to do the panchakarma cleansing is an intense cleansing thing that you can do, but I wouldn't do that as a home cleanse, and unless you have guidance from someone. You can do home panchakarma with guidance. Ashwagandha is great at night, but it's not cleansing. So I see someone in the chat is suggesting ashwagandha at night. Yeah, great. It really helps you get to sleep, but it's not cleansing, and that's why I'm not mentioning it. All right, how to maintain your state of cleanse. Avoid heavy, oily foods. Hold on a second. There was some echo there. Okay, good. I got rid of that. Avoid heavy, oily foods like cheese, wheat, fried foods, etc. Avoid alcohol, tobacco, and even chronic caffeine use. Monitor your bowel health. Just remember to look at your stool every day before you flush it down and see how things are going. Notice how much gas you have. And if you have more gas or stinkier stools, then go back to a more cleansing pattern. And then when your stools are good again, go back to a more normal diet. To maintain, take that hot bath twice a week. That really refreshes your circulation, gets your blood moving in the cold winter months. Don't continue that in the summer. Triphala 2 times a week to clear the bowels. You don't need to take a laxative every single night. Stretching, exercising daily, your contemplative practice, and then every Monday have some khichdi. Have a day of khichdi. After the weekend celebration, an austere Monday diet is just the reset everybody needs. All right, this has been a brief introduction to cleansing. We reviewed some of the patterns that are going on in the season and how your body responds to them. We reviewed what is a toxin. We reviewed treatment strategies to get rid of toxins. And finally, a specific protocol that you can follow for waking, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and nighttime, and how to maintain your cleanse. I hope this has given you some tips. Remember that everything you do for your body that's good is your body's going to give back, right? Every time you help your body, that's just all the more that your body can now redirect its resources to even greater things. I want to say something else. It's not just that disease is contagious, health is also contagious. Every little step you take radiates outward to your community and helps them become healthier too. So with that in mind, I hope you all learned at least one thing today, and hopefully you learn even more. And if you want to continue studying with Joyful Belly, we welcome you to reach out to us. We are going to have a course intro at this same time next week. So thank you all, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Let me know if you have any other questions. I'll hang out on the line for you. Everyone should be muted. You can unmute your line if you have a question, and I'd be happy to help out.
Hi, John.
Hi.
Hi, this is Carol calling. I had missed your webinar on intestinal permeability and healing the gut, and I had emailed and asked if there was going to be a replay, and I didn't hear back. And I'm wondering, will you be offering that replay again?
Did you check the Joyful Belly YouTube page?
Actually, I didn't know.
Okay, yeah, check our YouTube channel because usually we post it there.
Okay, YouTube. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Hi, John. I'm Sylvia. I have a
Hi,
couple of
Sylvia.
questions. A couple
Sure.
of questions. I'm very Vata, and I try to stay, especially in the winter, away from salads and such.
Yes.
I saute. And you were mentioning the greens. We're coming to that. What about now? I mean, what do I just have room temperature raw greens or what?
As I mentioned, Vata doesn't really need to detox. They need to avoid retox. So for a Vata person, I think a nice Harataki laxative tea at night can help clean the bowels out a little bit if you need that. And then
Right.
light, easy to digest foods that don't cause gas is probably more than enough Vata needs for this time of year. And you can go right on Joyful Belly and uh, go to diet and recipes, food, and then underneath food, you'll see biocharacteristics and click on easy. And that
Okay.
is easy to digest food. And you'll see a whole list there. I'm going to put it right in the chat for you. Those are all easy to digest foods. And I would pick foods off this list that are also nourishing. So like you're not going to pick alcohol. Alcohol is easy to digest, but it's not nourishing. But almond milk is nourishing. And if you're Vata or cooked apples, nourishing. Avocado is nourishing. And all of these easy to digest foods, um, butternut squashes, they're they're probably detox enough. Now, if you have, you know, an unusual high level of toxicity or having trouble getting rid of toxins, then we might need something a little more individual. But generally, if you have a lot of vata, you're not really going to do a strong cleanse. You're just going to eat nice, easy to digest, nourishing foods and maybe cleanse your bowels with some laxatives.
Okay, I'm with you there, but so am I supposed to forget about like the fresh spring greens? Don't
I think
eat
fresh
them.
spring greens are fine. Yeah. So,
Oh,
okay.
oh,
Okay. Yeah. So here's the thing. Bitters aggravate vata in the textbook,
uh-huh.
but in real life, nobody just eats bitters. So the fact is that if you only ate bitters, they would really aggravate your vata because there's no real nourishment in them, right?
Okay.
But who does that? Right?
Right.
As long as you are nourishing your body, bitters don't aggravate vata that much. In fact, they often pacify it because bitters stimulate your digestive organs. And if that helps vata digest better, bitter greens will actually improve and pacify vata. So I think there's no problem at all with you having fresh young sprouts. If you eat a fresh young sprout that ends up being a diuretic and you feel like you're losing too much water, add a
Mm.
little salt to those greens.
Hmm.
And if that's still too much, then yeah, maybe those greens are aggravating your vata and you need to find something else. But you could try even things like bee pollen. Bee pollen is nice and warm and stimulating and also very nourishing. So for vata, again, this is not for a cleanse, but for revitalizing.
Hmm.
Bee pollen is a great tonic for vata.
Great, great. Okay. And the other question was, you said um, to stay away from greasy, oily foods in the evening. What about ghee? I sometimes put that in my warm milk at night.
Yeah, again, this is for a cleanse, but you need nourishing. So ghee is fine for you. And I think
Okay.
in general, there's a difference between fried food and ghee or coconut oil, right? I
Uh-huh.
find ghee a little bit heavy this time of year, for the other doshas. And so I'm not going to suggest that people do ghee, but you can do bitter ghee. Bitter ghee is for the other doshas can do bitter ghee, pitta and kapha. Bitter ghee is a really awesome herb formula in Ayurveda that is great for spring detox. So yeah, aloe vera, bitter
Mhm.
ghee are all great tools for pitta kapha doshas. But for you, yeah, I think ghee is fine. I mean, your vata, you need the nourishment. So I wouldn't shy away from nourishing yourself this time of year just because it's a cleanse season. It's not your
Yeah.
dosha.
Fantastic. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
John,
Yeah, I think it's Vedic herbs. And A Muzda sell Tikta Gritta. I'm just writing it in, which is called bitter ghee. Pretty
John,
awesome for this time of year. Yes, please.
hi. I wanted to ask a couple of things on behalf of my husband, Robert.
Uh-huh.
He has an instance at 82 years old of having just gone through radiation treatment, lung cancer because of Agent Orange in
Uh-huh.
Vietnam. All that time ago, but we've been organic and have tried to be very healthy, and that's why it's just shown up in the last few years. Finally got to the point where they decided they had to treat it, but we have been working with the naturopathic physician who's the oncology professor here in Portland, Oregon, and trying to balance that kind of therapy against whatever happened because of the conventional therapy. So that was one instance. And then all of a sudden, in the last week or so, uh, uh, this is about 4 months from the radiation treatment already.
Uh-huh.
About a week ago, he started having edema and was
Mm,
just hospitalized, just came out of the hospital yesterday, and they've determined that it's the beginning of heart failure, that the left ventricle is not able to relax enough and push enough blood out, and so he's having edema.
mm,
Long ago, I figured out, best I know, he's a Pitta Kappa, actually a Kappa Pitta.
mm-hmm.
And I wondered, he's on lots of meds. I'm sure he needs detox from the meds. Um, I but there's no Ayurveda practitioner that we have here in Portland, and I don't know if the naturopaths know enough either. So I wondered if you had an opinion in general, realizing that you don't know him, but in general, is there something here that I could help him with?
Well, it's his condition is more advanced. So, that's the case where I said in the beginning of the call that if you're addressing a specific pathology, that's going to even be more individualized, right? Because a lot of cleansing protocols are going to clear the medications from the system as well as toxins, right? So,
Yes.
there's a lot of like herb drug interactions that you could have. So you want to be a little more cautious. And but yeah, if he's a Pitta Kapha, you can give him a Pitta Kapha pacifying diet, and that should be supportive for him, even if he's not taking stronger herbs. But yeah, I think that if he was going to do a cleanse, there would have to be a little more guidance and a little more knowledge of his individual condition. But yeah, you could try a Pitta Kapha pacifying diet and see if that's supportive for his constitution.
So
But
when
again, yeah, really, it's
when
just
you're
that's a little
looking
bit more
at
of a
the
highly
recipe,
individualized thing. What's that?
sorry, I'll let you say what you said and then I'll come back.
Oh no, it's just again, it's more individualized, right? Because there's heart tonics like Arjuna that strengthen the heart muscle, but also we want to take the burden off the heart by these dissolvent intoxicants. But he might be on blood thinners already, given his condition. And the doctors may be doing the same exact thing with pharmaceuticals, which is, reducing the viscosity of the blood to gives the heart some relief. And they probably gave him a diuretic for the edema also. I mean, I don't know what they're doing. And
Right.
so, but I can't assume at that level that, they're probably using some of the same herbal actions. They're just using pharmaceuticals, not herbs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at your recipes, when you're saying a kapha pita pacifying diet, when I look at the recipes, what is going to qualify for that? I know a lot of times they'll have the lines through pita, the lines through kapha, saying that these are things that are not best for them. If the recipe just has a plain P and a plain K, is that what you're saying is
Yeah, so
pacifying?
you go to the website and you go to diet and recipes, and then you click on recipes, right? And that brings you to here. And then you click on good for pitta, and then you refine your search and you click on good for kapha or reduce kapha. And then these are all your pitta kapha pacifying recipes right here. Wait a second. This latke one is not good for, what is the deal with that one being in this list? Interesting. Well, it may be that I specifically work to balance that one out somehow. But I gotta take a look at why that one is not computing. But other than that one, these should be these recipes in general will be more kapha pitta pacifying. Let me create a diet on here and do this in another way. This is not bringing up the recipes that I want. Pitta kapha pacifying, focusing on bitter taste. Let's see what that gives us. Recipes. There we go. This is a little lighter. Yeah, I got to see what's going on with those other links. Avocado, cucumber, gazpacho. Grapefruit, quinoa, and fennel salad with mint. These will all be a little bit more light recipes that may give you some good ideas.
Okay. That
So,
sounds
how would I give you this link? I need your email address, and I could send you this link.
How do I give you the email address?
Well, yeah, you can email me at john@joyfulbelly.com.
Okay,
That way you
John.
don't have to give it to everybody. Yeah.
That sounds that sounds good. And if there's anything that comes along that seems like it would be helpful, you'll have my address too. I'm just hoping that we can give him the most support. He's a great person, and today it seems like finally uh, the medicines that they're doing are beginning to help. But I want to make sure that the kinds of fluids that I'm putting in are the most nutritious. So
Well,
is
for pitta
water
kapha,
really the
for
best,
pitta
or
kapha,
are
you're
there
not
some things we
necessarily
should be
as
doing?
concerned uh with nutrition, right? I mean, yeah, you do want to get lots of micronutrients. You want to have a reason, but pitta kapha people tend to nourish themselves well. So it's really, it's vata that struggles to nourish themselves. Pitta kapha people struggle to cleanse themselves.
Ah,
So, again, we just, there's I think that you probably, given the level that he's at, you probably want to work with a practitioner.
so when I write to you, do you have some ideas about properly trained Ayurvedic people here? Because um, that that's of the utmost importance.
Yeah, if you
Whether
want to meet someone in person where you are, it looks like someone has recommended you Karta Park Singh Khalsa in Oregon. So if you want to see someone local, that you can.
KP Khalsa, I believe, is down in Albany. But if we had to travel down there, but someone in Portland or Portland Metro would be better. But I do know about KP
Yeah.
Khalsa.
I mean, I see my clients online, so but if you want someone local, then yeah, we go with KP Khalsa if he's reachable.
Okay. Thank you for answering my questions, and I've appreciated your time today very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Any other questions?
Yeah, hey John.
Yes, hi.
This is Wendy. Well, for the little bit of time I got you, I really enjoyed what you talked about. Um, I think did your website talk about I'm a Vata and about diverticulitis
Does
because
my
I
website talk about it? Yeah. Yeah, we
okay,
have it on the
I'll
website.
look
Yeah.
into that because I like chia seeds, but and nuts, things like that. I think I've been trying to keep away from because I think, oh, I don't know if that's good for me. But I just noticed you showed her some recipes. I noticed potato was not good for Vata, and I like potatoes.
Yeah, well, potatoes aren't that Vata aggravating, sometimes a little bit. So again, you're not just going to follow a food list like that. Generally, what you want to do is learn in what ways is your Vata imbalanced and get a little more nuanced. But and here's how I use those dosha food lists. If I don't feel good on any particular day, or might feel like I'm dried out or something, or whatever it is, I will look at the food list to see if I ate anything on that list. And then I get to potatoes and I'm like, I did eat potatoes. And then you're like, maybe potatoes aren't good for me because I don't feel good after eating them, right? That's the way I would use the dosha food list. But I wouldn't just immediately cut everything out that is for your dosha, because that's a pretty severe diet restriction. Instead, you want to learn a little bit about your body and know which foods are aggravating your vata and cut those out only. And that's a little
Okay.
more freedom.
Well, that's a good idea. I never thought about looking at the food list because I've taken a dosha tests, you know, when they say outline everything that's you, some of them just specifics, like one per area. But some of them, I'm like tridosha, I'm a little bit of all three of them.
Yeah,
So it's like, you know, but I'll do what you do. That's a great suggestion. Thank you.
you're welcome. Yeah. Any other questions?
Dr. Inol, I would like to make sure, confirm that you received my chat message. My name is Maria Cruz.
What was your message?
I need to
Oh,
consult
okay,
you.
I think I do see it. Yeah. Uh, yeah, you can email me, john@joyfulbelly.com.
Okay, I will do that.
You're welcome.
John, one more question.
Yes.
In regards to tridoshas, does it make sense, because my husband Robert is staying with my daughter at the moment and their family, and I haven't figured out my grandchildren's doshas and whatever. Is it practical to think that there's enough recipes on your site that would be tridoshic, that would be simple for them all to be benefiting from?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, if there's something that's if there's something that's going to strongly aggravate one of the doshas, you leave that out and put it on the side in the recipe. So all the recipes, you could modify them to make them more tridoshic, and that's not actually that hard to do, because you look at the recipe and let's see here. Let's see. You look at the recipe. These are foods. Hold on, let me jump over. And the site will tell you which ones aggravate the dosha.
Right.
Okay, so here's mung dal. So you just look at it down there, and if you see one person's a strong kapha, you know, you're gonna like put less rice in it and then have extra rice on the side. Or you see ghee aggravates kapha, you just put less ghee in the recipe and more on the side, or a little less salt. So you don't need, it's not like hard to modify this to make it more tridoshic and then put the foods on the side for people who need to modify it.
Yeah.
And that
Okay.
should be
But
good. You know,
there,
you're not looking for perfection. Your body does not expect perfection from you. What your body expects is that you make, you know, reasonable choices. So it's not the case that you need to like, you know, be very strict. Here's what I would work to do. I would work to understand the body, not to like find the perfect recipe. Nobody can maintain a perfect diet, but what you want to have is perfect understanding of your body. And then, you know, oh yeah, well, all of these, no, none of these recipes are perfect, but they're all pretty good. That's what you want.
Mhm. Okay, thank you. That puts things in a practical perspective, because of course we all have to eat and we want to give him the best and not be making it difficult for the people who are
Exactly. That's
being the
exactly it.
chefs.
That's exactly it. Yep.
Thank you so much, John.
You're welcome. I see someone asking if you can cleanse and take anxiety medications. You just have to be careful with herb drug interaction when you're with cleansing, particularly, because cleansing is often going to cleanse the medication as well as ama. Because from the body's point of view, the medication is ama.
So, John, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Actually, two. One is, what would be the best way to search for recipes for Vata that would help me gain weight?
Uh-huh. Okay. So let's do the first question here. You go to diet and recipes.
Right?
And you are going to, hold on, this looks like, let me just show all. And I'm going to Ojas building recipes under the
Okay.
biocharacteristics.
Okay.
Ojas building. And then these are all ones that are just a little more on the nourishing side of things.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So
All
that's
those.
great. So then my other question is, I've been making a lot of kitcheries, and I wondered if that is beneficial for after sort
I
of.
mean, I don't think kitchery is gonna help you gain that much weight, right? The best way to gain weight is with like calorie-rich smoothies. Make yourself like um take like a bunch of nuts and make it into a smoothie and add coconut oil and drink your calories. The best way to gain weight is by drinking your calories. Kitchery is a bit on the light side, but you can always, add a bunch of ghee to it and make it richer.
Right, I've been doing that. And also the smoothies, my body doesn't like the cold, especially right now. So
Oh,
I've
well,
been
just make it hot.
finding, yeah,
Just
I've been
take
finding
it and heat
ways.
it up.
Okay, yeah, and then I did make a a beet hummus, and
Uh-huh.
I've been doing lots of beets because I discovered that they help increase nitric oxide.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
there's
that's
actually a test, uh, a test, you can test your nitric oxide level. So I got those little strips, and I was low, and then after having your beet soup, it went up 2 levels to
great.
almost high. So I just
Awesome.
wanted to give that feedback because now I've been really, because I think I have some heart issues too. I have a swollen left ankle. Um, so I just found that quite fascinating.
Yeah, great. Great. That's exciting to hear.
Yeah, and thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And are you seeing people individually as well?
The way I see clients is they meet with a person in our clinic, and then I see the client on the third appointment. So you'll meet with some of our, one of our top students for 2 appointments, and then on the third appointment, I will meet with you.
Okay.
So I can show you where to get that if you, let's see. There we go. That's that. I'll put that link there. So that way, if anyone wants to book a session, they can.
Okay. Yeah. And thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hey, John, this is Wendy again, real quickly.
Yes, Wendy.
When I had a physical, they said I've been cooking a lot with iron skillets, and they said
Uh-huh.
my ferritin was very high. It was like over 700.
Wow,
And
yeah.
then, but somebody said, okay, ferritin is stored in your body. They say there's other irons that are in your blood. Like when I go back to retest, is there other iron tests I need to get tested? And also, I've been just refraining from cooking with iron and hoping that will bring it down. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, well, I do actually, just because I can't I can't cook with um cast iron either, because I have thalassemia minor, which is a Mediterranean, blood condition that can cause you to easily get high iron levels. So there are several markers for iron, but yeah, but I would take it as a sign that your iron is high and just stop using the cast iron and see how your levels change.
But is there a different test that for ferritin versus different iron? I thought that, I mean, that's all they tested me for. Is there a hit?
Um,
They said
I
that's
th
for.
I think they are, but I don't remember them. I mean,
Okay, okay.
I don't specifically, study all the different blood test markers, but I know that I do think that there are.
Okay. And someone said it could be a sign of inflammation, but I've gotten thin. And so I'm one of those dittos saying I need to gain weight, but I want to gain muscle and healthy weight, you know.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, of
Thank you
course.
so much for today.
You're welcome. Any other
Hello,
questions?
John.
Yes, please.
I just want to say that thank you very much, and that I'm start the course, and I'm super excited and looking forward to it.
Oh,
So,
great, great.
yeah,
Exciting. Yes, looking forward to seeing you in class.
yeah.
All right, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you so much. Great questions, everybody. And an exciting topic. Good luck with your spring cleanse. And I'll see some of you in a week at the course intro. Take care.